Well, good evening everyone. This is just a quick video of a radio I've recently picked up. Very hard to come by apparently, especially here in Australia. It's the National Panasonic DR-Q63, also known as the RF6300. It's a large radio, but fairly basic in lots of aspects. I'll have a quick squiz at it. Over here, I don't know if you can see it all right. There's a LCD clock there. Unfortunately, I'm doing this video against a fairly bright background. It's too cold to do it outside. There's a fluoro frequency display. A very nice tuning meter there, typical of Panasonics. And here we've got a frequency chart which goes through all the shortwave allocations that were around in the 1980s, and also the amateur radio allocations that were also around in the 1980s. Here you've got some clock features, the dose, you can set the time, even set the seconds. Sleep, you can cancel it. You can wake to either the radio or the chirp, what they call the chirp, which is just a buzzer of some sort. And you've got your clock display and your alarm display there. Very large speaker. Here you've got the availability of setting 12 memories, but that's unusual in as far as to access the memories you have to set the appropriate frequency range that you're on. So considering this is probably 1982, fairly early in the piece, it's fairly rudimentary in that regard. You can cancel your memories. If you've got memories, this LED or light here, that's your main power LED. You can control the actual frequency speed of the BFO here, or VFO, with this button. Either slow or fast. It toggles between 10 kilohertz or 1 kilohertz, and you can scoot up and down the band reasonably quickly on 10 kilohertz. You can lock the VFO on that one. You can turn the display light on and off. It's not a very bright light, typical of the era. It's better in the dark, of course, but here in the afternoon you can't really see it all that well. This one will toggle the frequency display on and off, for example. So it saves your batteries. Although this radio seems to be pretty good on batteries. This button here is to, if you've got your alarm functions set, you just turn the auto on, and you'll access the alarm functions. There's your main power button. There's your main tuning button. Some people have sort of commented it's a fairly clunky sort of tuning method. It's the encoder in it sort of is a very distinct clicking. But anyway, you're looking at the era. Here you've got your frequency selection, FM, long wave, medium wave, shortwave 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And here you've got some your bass and treble control, BFO pitch, RF gain control. Just a note on the BFO, it's a very, very stable BFO when it comes to wanting to listen to sideband. It's actually very, very good. So surprisingly good for a radio of this caliber. There's your BFO switch on off. Obviously with a BFO, it's not selecting upper or lower sideband. You've actually got to control it with the BFO, but once you've got the setting, you can virtually leave it on there, and it's pretty good. Bandwidth is very good. It's actually a what would you call it? A very precise bandwidth. For example, I'm on Radio New Zealand International 11725, not a very good signal at all. The bands haven't been all that good of late, but if I tune off, it's probably not a really good one to test and hit the bandwidth. It certainly narrows it down. I'll try that again on a stronger station. Volume control, as I've said, there's the headphone socket and an external speaker socket with impedance of 8 ohms only. So I think you've got to be a little bit careful there. Nice big carry handle. Not a particularly great, long telescopic antenna by any stretch of the imagination for a radio of this size. On the back, you take 6 D cells. You've got external antenna connectors there. Don't know whether you can see that. It's, as I said, the camera's having a bit of strife against the white background there. But it says an RF6300 LBA. Now the LBA basically means this is one that was released for the Australian market. On the side, this side here, you've got your AC input, which is fixed at 240 volts. So whereas the LB, I think it's the LBS, has a selector for various voltages here. So that's basically the difference between the LBA and the LBS. The LBA has slightly different circuitry in the power supply, obviously, because it's a fixed power supply. You don't have to worry about the tappings on transformers or anything like that. So, but I think pretty well the RF circuitry is pretty well much the same. Here's a battery compartment. It takes 4 AA batteries. That's for your clock and your memories. So now one thing just to note with this, whoops, well, it goes medium wave. Now you'll notice actually when you, well, let's start back up here. Notice on the frequency display that the radio defaults to a frequency in the middle of the range for each particular setting. So you've actually got to tune up and down to receive whatever sort of range you want. For example, there on shortwave 3, it's 16 megahertz, 9.5 megahertz, 5.5 megahertz, 2.8 megahertz. Medium wave is 1 megahertz. Now, just to give you an idea, see, tuning on the slow is 1 kilohertz, on fast is 10 kilohertz. So we'll duck down here to my local ABC station. It's a little bit cumbersome, but you get used to it. And as I say, on fast speed, you can certainly tune around pretty quick. Now, just to give you, see if we can give you a bit of a demonstration on the bandwidth.
As someone being out with a dodgy knee, it's just as important.
Now, on the wide bandwidth, you can see it goes about 7 kilohertz. It's still splatter on the side. Hit the band, narrow band. Oh, virtually gone. There's still just a fraction of splatter there, and you've actually. So it's really about 3 kilohertz.
Out. So I think this one's a corker. It's from Benny Walker.
Great audio.
I need to do that. I'm ashamed of myself, to be honest.
And yeah, there we go. All right, well, there's a quick look at the RF 6300 or the DR-Q63. As I said, to get my finger out of the way of the lens, as I said, a very rare radio to get hold of, and I was pleased to get it for the collection. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Cheers.